been doing a few things. I heard a little bit of BB's. Now, you're going to exit from the significant, poignant, very, very serious, and excellent to me. So we'll try to keep it, real right down the middle. The we haven't done that well there the last few years, and we should do better this year for sure. It's amazing how, as a coach, you look at anybody that works and what is your output. For a writer like Andy, it's copy, and for you guys are managing media and managing the message, and for us it's just the speed of your team. I mean, there's more to it than that, but when it's not good, it's or at least it's not up to your standards. Even though you try to stay cheerful, it just sits back. Like, one of those colds or viruses you get that doesn't go away. You're coughing all the time. And I realize I'm fairly healthy right now. I'm feeling better. So that means we're better. It's pathetic that it would affect me like that, but now that things are clearer, and that doesn't describe anything about why, but the fact is we're better. And we're going to every race now with a reasonable chance, which is good. It's incredible how fast you can fall off the rails, though, as far as, rowing is very different than football or basketball. Sometimes you see an amazing upset. You don't see that very often unless there's some great calamity. It's Mike Tyson-style knockout punch. Boom. And then they're ahead of you. And then it's difficult to come back. It's quick, straight line. I know you all think rowing's complicated. I've said it a million times. It's not. It's a straight line for a mile and a quarter. And who gets there first wins. You don't even go around in circles like the Kentucky Derby. That's somewhat complicated because you've got to follow the left-hand turn. In rowing, it's not. So.
Do we have any questions?
That's my opening statement.
So, Chris, why are you better? Why do you believe you're better?
Just a culture change. We had all sorts of interesting, you don't want to get too much in detail, but it doesn't take much from personalities and also coaches that we've had to twist you a little bit off the rails. And here we have a couple of major advantages. It's not easy to live in a place like this and row. I mean, it's a lot easier in a warmer climate or a better protected body of water. So that's an advantage in the sense that the type of people that are drawn to it usually are fairly tough and stubborn, which is what you need. And you have to reward that and develop that. But if you don't, in other words, if people are coming in that aren't, either you don't recognize they're not the kind of person, or else that ethic is taken away, then you become like pampered, like, those TV shows, what the OC, people like, things like that. What was that New York one? Remember that one with all the rich kids? I forgot. Yeah, totally.
Jersey Shore.
That's exactly what we ended up being. We were the Gossip Girl / the OC of, at least in the entire time I've been here. And it was everybody's fault but their own, unlike the Led Zeppelin song, which is everybody's fault. Or it's my fault. Everybody's fault but mine, anyway. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That Zeppelin song's great. But anyway, and academically, during that period, it was the worst I've seen here. I mean, we're not talking disaster, but by our standards, it wasn't good. And rule breaking, nothing, front page style, but just these guys just did not have a clue. And ultimately, it comes back to me and that attitude. We have a guy sitting in here right now that's on the team. He's lived through part of it. And it's incredible how different it is today. Just guys are back with the program and the way it's supposed to be. This is true on any team. It isn't just ours. But you really have to go out of your way to create a cultural shift in a negative way here. And it's either absolute negligence or just ignorance or on purpose. I think it was the first two. So, but we're back. And not as fast as we could be yet. This is something I've mentioned a few times, and this is so true, that we were third world problems. Third world is famine, pestilence, flooding, existential. That's where the team felt to me the last few years. But we're moving back to first world. Shall I get 2 bolts or a Tesla? Can I whiten my teeth with something, off the shelf, or do I need to go to the dentist? Those are normal problems that people have in today's society. They're issues, but they're not big problems. And that's kind of where we are. We have made problems, mistakes in races, but none of them have been existential. It's just, oh, God, we screwed that up. We haven't been in this situation to be competitive. We need to clean that up or do this at this time. And Bibi has lived it. I mean, she's lived it in her own way, in a different way, but she was out in front of it earlier than I was. So we're good sounding boards. If anything really gets bad, we just go in and yell with, not at each other. We never yelled at each other, but we just, and always the person plays the proper role. In other words, if she comes to me or I go to her, they know it's on one hand you want to, yeah, that's right, that's ridiculous, that's stupid, I can't believe it. And then the other one is the calm down side, like just easy. All things will pass. But it's a great relationship. They're very helpful.
Andy?
Chris, when you go about creating your roster, when you go about looking for talent, you look for a specific body type, obviously, but what's the first thing you look at in someone that you want on your team?
Something we didn't do, but we're back to doing, and this is talking about someone who's rowed in high school, it's just making them understand they don't know a damn thing about college rowing. Nothing. And the only advantage they have is that rowing, because they've rowed somewhere, has created an interest and an opening for us to get to know them and for them to come here. That's it. That's all they know. The worst thing you can do is take a C-level recruit and allow them to run with the ball and think that they're anything. A C can become an A rower here. It happens on a fairly regular basis, but they have to start realizing it's like the military, like the Marines. You don't shave your head, but you actually do, personality-wise, and you have to become a new person. So we're looking for people that are willing to do that, and we have one of the coaches now I can't tell you how much he communicates that to the average high school rower. The novices are always extremely easy. They're usually multi-letterman in all sorts of sports. They're used to having people yell at them. Now that I have a kid in football, I know what it's about. They scream and yell and blow the whistle all the time. It's just part of okay, whatever coach tells me to do, I'm going to do. And those guys are almost always easy to deal with. But the problem came with the recruited rowers. And we're mainly letting them know what the expectation is, and also something that other sports I'm sure have done far more of than us is to vet them after they visited. And we've had a number of couple guys, well, what do you think about so-and-so who visited from Massachusetts? You don't want them. Okay, that's it. It's a single blackball from a single guy, and we're not interested anymore. That's helped. I don't know if that answered your question really, but it's helped. It used to be more the merrier, like I've said this before, like Stalin used to say quantity is quality when it came to an army. No, not really. Not with the recruited rowers, it isn't. We only want 8 or 9. We don't want an army full, because then the entire team ethic changes. And we have no chance, because all of our competitors have internationals who've rowed a lot and are really good. It's a good question, though.
So we've quoted Led Zeppelin and Stalin now, so we're on a good, we're on a
This
good
is
track.
a mellow, this is, I've only had one major big gulp today, well, maybe 2. But so my, the caffeine high is kind of coming off a little bit.
Melissa?
Coach, I know last year you had talked about challenging guys from other sports, maybe basketball players, to come and try to do what you guys do for a day or something like that. Were you successful in getting any of these guys to at least come out and try?
I said that?
I think so. I think you said
Yeah.
something about
Well, they're
basketball
welcome.
players
They're
like
welcome.
Nigel or like
It's not
whoever
a
to come out.
challenge. Heck, I'll take all those guys. They want to, when they're done.
So they have
I
not
just
come.
probably got another year of eligibility. You can row for us.
Okay.
Right? I think a graduate thing. No, mainly, I think if I remember, it was more just anybody's welcome to come here at any time. And the wrestlers do fairly often. They do a brutal workout. I remember what it was. It was very brutal though. And it looked uncomfortable for us. But knowing Barry Davis, as we all do, that's straight up, his wheelhouse. So I wish they would, but of course I get jealous of seeing all those big, tall, strapping dudes, and wishing that they were on our team too. So we got a lot of our admiration for the other teams, though. Everybody's got this is something you'll find interesting, though, that every team has their own unique things that coaches moan and groan about. Like maybe it's a terrible northeast wind and the water stinks and the world's against us. And then I was talking to Yvette Healy, and realizing she cares about the weather just like we do. All she does is look at the phone 15 times a day, and I thought, God, it isn't just us. So I felt good. Not that she was suffering, but just that we weren't the only ones that were completely insane about our weather apps. I mean, BB's probably already checked it 3 or 4 times today, and even though we look out the window, we're constant. And I tell our kids don't use their phones. We do not provide a very good example. Andy, a father of a sophomore, I know.
I have a question. You mentioned earlier that you have some advantages with the type of kids that you might get that are tough in this climate. Does this building provide some kind of an advantage too? Because I would wonder how many programs in the country have a facility like this.
Well, it's surprising. There's quite a few really nice facilities, only because the rise of women's rowing in Title IX in particular, we needed a nice place for, if the women weren't shunted off somewhere, then the boathouses were built for one team, so it all needed to be better. This is a pretty incredible place, though, because it's so self-contained. We don't have to go many places. However, there is no place like this that's that close to the dorms. I mean, the dorms are right there, which is mostly a positive, except when they complain about our loud music, which happens a lot. It's a cycle, though, because they're freshmen here, right? So as the year goes on, it gets worse, the complaints. It isn't daily, but it sometimes can be weekly. And then finally, we get on the water, we're out of that room, and then they're freshmen, they leave, and then it just starts all over again next year. So it's a perfect thing. However, if we had better ventilation upstairs, we wouldn't need to open the windows. So, but that's another story for another day. And that's the negative, but it's a real selling point there for anybody. There's no excuses. Your commute is 1 or 2 minutes. So, plus occasionally guys are late. Other people run out and pound on the doors and drag them down here. But this is a pretty amazing place, especially on a day like this. This is amazing. That's why I keep looking out there, if you noticed. It isn't just to look at BB and see if she's agreeing with me, but it's to make sure the water's still good for the next practice. I wish you guys would come down here more often. It's a nice place.
Any other questions? Paul?
I'm not sure this is accurate, but you talked about the OC. So is that where you come from, and where does your toughness come from as being a coach here?
2 things. The OC was the screenwriter, I think, for that was from Corona Del Mar High School. And my first girlfriend was from Corona Del Mar High School, so we're not going to get into that, but that was, I was from 20 miles away from the beach, and there's a big social divide there. And we finally bought a house there and built, but still you're a Johnny-come-lately. You're not part of it. It'd be like being from Long Island and moving to Manhattan, right? No matter how long you're there, you're still from Long Island. And but Orange County is a special place. My parents are still there, and it's very different. And I like to say I came from the mean bike paths of Orange County. It didn't breed toughness, well, at least it didn't in me. I had one of my buddies that I rode with at Berkeley. He said something to me, and I haven't forgotten it. It was less than a year ago. It was really true. I said something about toughness, and he goes, "Clark, you're not tough." And for a second, he goes, "You're just stubborn." And I realized how important that is, because stubborn can sometimes morph into toughness, but you have to be stubborn if you're going to be in rowing and in any sport and if nothing else, just challenging yourself. So I'm not tough, but I am stubborn.
Anything else?
Uh-oh.
Oh, Brandon, go ahead.
So did you have a nickname? What was your nickname then?
Oh, my nickname was Heater. And someone thought it was clever on the oar. When you feather it out, when you're taking a picture from behind, you could see it. Just because I had this uncontrollable temper. And it's been, you get married, have kids, you're totally broken in every way, including my temper. It's pretty much gone. But occasionally I'll yell at the guys. As a matter of fact, this one right here, I yelled at him the other day, and he sent me an email And I said to him, didn't I? I said, I was heater in college, I don't care if you yell. And I yelled back, it kind of made me feel good, just to make you realize I'm still alive. So, because I used to yell a lot, especially when I was freshman coach. And BB, what do you think? Have you personally though, have you mellowed?
Me personally?
Yeah, as a coach,
Absolutely.
right?
Although I was never a heater.
No, but there was a lot of pent-up rage in there. It just didn't come out. Anyway, that was my nickname, and I can't live it down because that was me. But as they say, no mas.